News Today with Lucy Aharish.
Good evening and welcome to the news today. U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter conceded today that the coalition fighting the Islamic State has thus far failed to contain the terror group, seemingly contradicting statements made just weeks ago by President Barack Obama. It comes as Russia appears to be intensifying its military campaign in Syria, including striking Islamic State targets for the first time by submarine. I-24 News defense correspondent Shai Ben-Ari has the latest.
A significant difference of opinion within the Obama administration was revealed Wednesday in a hearing before the U.S. Senate's Armed Services Committee.
Mr. Secretary, on the 1st of December, before the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Forbes asked General Dunford, quote, "Have we currently contained ISIL?" General Dunford, "We have not contained ISIL." Mr. Secretary, do you agree with General Dunford?
I agree with what General Dunford said, yes.
But less than a month ago, President Barack Obama expressed the exact opposite view in an interview with ABC's Good Morning America.
From the start, our goal has been first to contain, and we have contained them.
Meanwhile, the fate of the Syrian civil war could hinge on the results of a meeting currently ongoing in Saudi Arabia. Representatives of 15 Syrian rebel and insurgent groups are attending a conference in Riyadh in an attempt to reach a common platform ahead of a prospective peace process with the Assad regime. The rebel groups present include factions fighting under the banner of the Free Syrian Army, but also representatives of Islamist militant groups like Jaish al-Islam and Ahrar al-Sham, which has certain links to al-Qaeda. Both groups are among the largest opposition factions in Syria today. Despite their significant military capabilities, Kurdish rebels are not represented in Riyadh. But there are still plenty of differences among those who are. While FSA members spoke Wednesday of the, quote, civilian nature of a future Syria, Ahrar al-Sham stated the need for an Islamic identity. The jihadist group also called on the Assad regime's security and military institutions to be dissolved, despite an agreement between world powers to keep them intact during any transition period. It added a demand to remove the Russian and Iranian presence from Syria. On the ground, a local ceasefire is holding for now in Homs. Under the terms of the agreement, buses carried opposition fighters out of the last area they controlled in the district, bringing them to rebel-held zones near the Turkish border.
All the areas surrounding the city of Homs have seen local reconciliations, including Homs and the suburbs of Homs. It is parallel to the work on local reconciliation agreements in other cities, not just Homs.
Western leaders are hoping that such local ceasefires can provide a basis for a broader truce in the coming months.
And with me right now here in the studio is Ali Waqid, I-24 News Senior Middle East Analyst. Good evening, thank you very much for coming. And also Avi Sakhalov, Senior Middle East Analyst. Good evening, thank you very much for coming. Ali, let's start with you and let's start with the ceasefire in Homs. What does it mean? Can we start saying, like analysts are saying in Syria or in the Middle East, that basically this is the first move to start calm things down in the Syrian civil war?
No, absolutely not, Lucy, because it is not the first time that we are seeing such a move, especially in Homs. Every time the regime, this time with the support of the Russian, the Hezbollah and the Iranian, succeeded to close over the zones that were controlled by the rebels, and via the UN, they reached an agreement regarding Homs exclusively that includes the leaving of the rebels to other areas controlled by the rebels. But we are having more and more neighborhoods from the third city of Syria, Homs, cleaned of rebels. Lucy, yesterday you anticipated that before the conference in Riyadh we are going to see an acceleration, an intensification in the operation, and that's what is happening since yesterday. The Russians are bombarding all the militias, all the groups that are participating in the conference, and are mainly trying to hurt the Turkish supply to the Ahrar al-Sham and to the Jaish al-Islam, which are the so-called moderate rebel groups. They are jihadist group, but in the international community, this is the vocabulary used and the terminology used, moderate rebels.
So let's talk a little bit about the moves that Russia did today, and this is for the first time attacking by submarine.
Today, 204 different attacks, according to the armed media.
204 different attacks. This attack by a submarine, and let's try to understand, when all the world is saying, okay, we're not going boots on the ground, we're staying with the air campaign, but the air campaign moved to the sea, and I'm asking, maybe the next step will be boots on the ground? Maybe Russia is preparing the ground or the sea for a ground operation?
I think that definitely this is not their aim. is this possible that this is what will happen? It is, but they don't want it. I mean, they understand that the implications of intervention on the ground might be lethal for them. I mean, they lost already some soldiers. They see the revolutionary guards of the Iranian regime losing every day more and more people. So they are not that enthusiastic about sending ground troops to Syria.
Let's join to this conversation Aboud Dandashi, who is with us right now on the phone. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hello, good evening.
Oh, Mr. Dandashi, it's good to see you via Skype, not through the phone. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dandashi, you're hearing here both of our analysts are talking about the recent, let's say, developments in Syria. Just yesterday, we talked about the conference. Everybody, you were saying that these are just talks, and we are seeing that these are just talks, but the one who is leading this operation again and again in the last few months is Russia. And it seems that maybe at the end of the day, maybe Bashar al-Assad will gain what he wants and he will stay in control with Russia backing him up.
Russia cannot save Bashar al-Assad. They have gone all out in this war to try to save him and try to save his position. There is nothing that can save Bashar al-Assad. Even his standing among his own constituents is actually very weak and very precarious. Now, this deal that was carried out in Homs, the evacuation of Al-War neighborhood, the evacuation of the fighters to other areas of Syria. These kind of deals, it's not the first deal of its kind that's been done in Homs. There were several previous ones just like it, and every single time, these kind of deals have proven to be very unpopular among the rank and file of Assad's army. They don't want these kind of deals. They want a decisive military victory. That is not what happened at Al-War. What happened was a political settlement. It was just an evacuation of a neighborhood, a destroyed, depopulated neighborhood. The fighters gave up that area, but they lived. The rebels, they lived to fight another day.
But Mr. Dandashi, they are evacuating an area, and it is the regime who is going into Homs and receiving control for more and more neighborhoods in the very important and strategic city of Homs.
Oh, no. Homs was already subdued a long time ago. Homs is... the problem with Homs was that each neighborhood was pretty much left to fend for itself. There was no coordination between each neighborhood. Each neighborhood was isolated. There was never a threat to the regime after February 2012 in the regime's position in Homs. Basically, you had this area that was besieged for several years. People were practically living off of grass by the end and what they could smuggle in. War posed no threat to the regime, but the regime also did not have the manpower and the will to fight a costly urban fight in that area. So when it was politically viable, they made this deal, one of many. But unfortunately, every time Bashar al-Assad, well, unfortunately for Bashar, I mean, every time he makes these kind of deals, his position weakens among his rank of file. These kind of deals are very unpopular among the Shabiha and among the army. They want to see decisive military conquest. This is not what happened at Al-War. Yeah. This was a negotiated political settlement negotiated by the UN. The fighters evacuated. The rebel fighters will now live to fight another day somewhere else in Syria. And the regime, rank and file, know that. They're under no illusions. They're not celebrating.
Yes,
there's actually no celebrating going on right now.
Yes, Mr. Aboud Dandashi, thank you very much. And again, like I said, good to see you.